Everything you need to know about retirement in this one quote. This one quote, man. Woo! This hit me like a ton of bricks because it's so true. Now, I gotta tell you, folks, we got a good group of people on this YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? A good group of thinkers. I love it. I got a lot of engineers, a lot of guys who are involved in math, involved in chemistry, involved in electricity, involved in moving product from point A. Just a lot of good, smart people. You know, freaking over the road truckers. A lot of guys that are crushing. You know what I'm saying? And actually, even Craig Israelson, the professor, Craig Israelson from 712 Portfolio goes, man, Josh, your followers, or they say followers as if I'm the Pied Piper, but the people on your channel are pretty smart cookies because people are reaching out to him for his software package he's offering. I got to do more videos on that. You just got to get into it. Anyway, so I get a lot of good commenters. Yeah, some are trolls, and I just ban. I mean, if you're gonna be an idiot, you're just gonna get banned. You know, if you're gonna be stupid. I mean, we don't have time for when I say trolls, the bots are one thing. I'm talking about the trolls who are just trying to get a rise. That doesn't do anyone good. You'll be banned. You know, we got some good libs that post on occasion. Ronald Lindemann, I think is his name. He posts some good stuff on occasion. There's another guy, good lib, old Dennis. He was a black guy. He's since gone. He doesn't. I'm sure he's left because obviously, if you don't agree with the Black Lives Matter, you're a racist. It's too bad. He was actually a good poster, a good commenter from the left. We've had some other libs on here as well. They're pretty good. Penelope, I don't know if she's a lib, but she's a pretty good commenter. But then we got guys that are just laughing. 610 Boating. He used to be conservative until never heard that before. 610 Boating. He's your typical lib, not a deep thinker. But it's fun because it's good punching bag people. We always want to keep the punching bag material, and I say that in all love. We're not actually advocating punching bags. It's all love, but it's fun to use the libs because a lot of these libs aren't deep thinkers. They're just not. They just read the headlines and like the same kind of thing. We're this close away to getting batteries to run the whole world on solar. I'm like, oh, never heard that before either. But anyway, so we got some good libs that are fun for kicking around a little bit. But we also have some good libs that are actually deep thinkers and they do challenge it. So I love it, man. But if you're just on there, my man Prairie Mark, I don't say he's a lib, but sometimes he gets, I don't want to say almost a little bit passive aggressive. He's a good commenter, but sometimes just a little bit comes across as passive aggressive, almost like it's almost like he woke up on the wrong side of the bed and he's in a bad mood. And then sometimes I'll just ignore it when I can tell he's in a passive aggressive mood. But we got a lot of good mainstay commenters here, which is great. Anyway, so my man Chuck D or Chuck B. Chuck B. So, yeah, Chuck B from Public Enemy. Remember that band Public Enemy who was revolutionary and all the Hollywood, the total, look, dude, it's all the idea that Chuck D and Public Enemy just with a revolutionary fervor jumped on the scene out of nowhere and they were gonna it's all made up from Hollywood, dude. All these guys all got paid. Snoop Dogg, they all got paid from Hollywood, 100% to perpetuate as a this idea. They're trying to appease the wealthy white suburbanites because that's where the money is. You know what I'm saying? And they did. I mean, literally. So this gangster rap that came out in the late '80s, early '90s, nothing but an appeal to white suburbanites who had the money, living vicariously through urban blacks. And it's look, we know who the people are in Hollywood who do this 100%, and they made bank. Sadly, it led to a more and it's not a more violent society because violent crime over the last 30 years has actually been significantly reduced since the 1980s and 70s. That's a fact. But it just made more of a degraded society. You know what I'm saying? Where people feel they need to solve their arguments with firearms and things of that nature. And it's just sad, dude. It's I, it's horrible. Just a sidetrack. There's a girl like this. Is what pisses me off. So I was making a comment the other day about Joe Rogan using the N word. That's the least of anyone's concerns. Literally, and this guy said, "Oh, so you're a racist now? You think it's okay?" I said, "Never said it's okay. It's literally irrelevant. It means nothing." Joe Rogan is 100% bought out by the same Hollywood people who bought out Chuck D and Snoop Dogg and all these guys. It's irrelevant. What's relevant is that the absolute massive amounts of blacks killing blacks, without question. But no one cares unless it's a white perp. We all know this. And yet this black guy is like, "Oh, so you're okay with Joe Rogan using the N-word?" I said, I literally could care less. I don't care. He can do whatever he wants. The word isn't the issue. The facts, violence in the streets is the issue, without question. It's rising too, by the way. So just because we have this massive decline in violence in the streets over the last 30 years, a lot of it had to do with population. Then, of course, mayors like Giuliani and whatnot. It's coming back, but it's not affecting the vast majority of people. It's just a certain area of people, and there are innocent people. Hadaya Pendleton. Hadaya Pendleton. Put in the comments if you know who that is, as an FYI. So before you get all sanctimonious on me, because I'm not, literally could care less about Joe Rogan uttering the N-word, maybe you should know who people like Hadaya Pendleton are and say, you know something, we have more to worry about than some idiot white guy who's bought out by the freaking corporate stooges. All right, so let's go right here. My man Chuck made a great point. Chuck said, I would not borrow, I need my glasses, I would not borrow from my 401k to invest outside the 401k. I don't see the value for the hassle. I also know that people are more likely to spend from a brokerage account than from an IRA or 401k. You don't want to make it easier to spend. And I completely agree with that, 100%. The lack of discipline in this, the video I did yesterday is the tax benefits of borrowing from your 401k. The lack of discipline would make that strategy bad. And that is a huge issue. Well, why do you think variable annuities actually work? Because they keep you in the system for 10 years or else you have to pay a significant surrender charge. That's just a fact. I highly suspect if you took a regular investor in a brokerage account versus a variable annuity, the regular investor in the brokerage account will have less after 10 years. I can almost guarantee that. Why? Because he has easy access to his money, 100%. And I'm guilty as charged right here, your old buddy Josh. There's always an immediate need today that needs to be funded with something. Well, it's not going to come from my 401k because I don't want to pay taxes and a penalty, but it will come from my brokerage account. That makes sense. 100% guilty as charged. But then he goes on to say, this is huge. Certainly, in this higher interest rate time, it's better to borrow from your 401k. So when the wife texts, you put everything down and respond to the text. All right, so here it goes. Certainly, in this higher interest rate time, it's better to borrow from your 401k than, say, a car loan. But I still say it's better not to buy the car you cannot afford. All right, that 100%. I'm with there, Chuck. 100%. We're in agreement. I don't know what causes it, Josh, but now that I have money in savings, it's more painful to buy a car by using my savings than it was to borrow when I did not have savings. 100%, Chuck. I'm telling you, this is the whole thing. What drives me crazy? This pre-retirement income number and the 4% rule where your spending goes up each and every year. I'm telling you, man. Borrowing is death by 1,000 cuts. It doesn't hit you all at one fell swoop. On the other hand, taking $25,000 to buy a car, you had $50,000 in your emergency fund. Now you got $25,000. That's a big hit. That's a 50% decline in that emergency fund. You're like, ah. And then you start saying, all right, so borrowing, death by 1,000 cuts. It doesn't hit you in one fell swoop, but it hits you over time. It's horrible, man. That's why you got to get out of debt. I'm in debt still. It's like, I love coconut freaking vanilla cake. I love it. Eat them all day long. They got these Pepper Ridge Farms, whatever they're called. Every now and again, they're on sale, BOGOs. One bite doesn't do anything to my belly, my beautiful, beautiful figure. 2 bites, nah. 3 bites, no. It's the death by 1,000 bites is what gets you. Same thing with a mortgage. Same thing with a debt. Same thing with a credit card. Yeah, the $150 a month payment, that first month doesn't hurt you. But over the course of a year, that's $1,800. Over the course of 2 years, that's $3,600. You see what I'm saying? Death by 1,000 cuts. That's why it's so much easier to borrow than actually to take out of your emergency account or your 401k, because you also don't want to see the money decline. Why do you think people spend less when they retire? It's easy to spend when the cash is coming in. When the cash is freaking there and your petty stay check, you're like, yeah, I'll buy that car. I can afford it on a $150 a month payment, whatever it is. You're not going to do the same when you're retired. You're just not. Now, you might take a loan, but if you're out of debt, you're kind of conditioning yourself never to go in debt again. You're like, being out of debt is so liberating, so freeing. I'm not going to do that again. So, and I'm not going to take on more debt. So you're not. That is out of the question. So now you're like, okay, how are you going to buy that car? Well, I'm going to take out cash. You're going to watch that cash drop, and it's freaking people do not. I'm telling you right now. There's an emotional disgust of watching your portfolio decline by your spending. So then you're going to say, do I even need a new car after all? Like my daughter had a friend over, and she was worried her car was wrong, and it just needed some coolant. So we put some coolant in, and she's fine. But she said, oh, it's an old car. It's has been beaten down. I probably need to trade out. Well, it has 125,000 miles on it. Belts look fine. Batteries works. You know what I'm saying? Alternator works. Whole thing. And it's like, yeah, just run that for sucker, man. You just keep running that. I mean, at some point you have to trade in, but just keep running it until it dies. Literally. And that's the thing is, my man Chuck says, all right, debt is off the table. So I need a car. I think I need a car. That's the question. How am I going to finance it? I'm going to have to pay cash or I'm going to take on debt. I don't want to take debt because I have no debt and I don't want to finance it by paying cash for it. So maybe I'm going to see if I can get another $10,000 miles out of my car. You see what I'm saying? All of a sudden, you become a better spender. You start saying, yeah, I don't know if I need that. And I always use the example. I had a Aero Garden grow tent. I got on sale. It was like 40% off. Like 2 years ago, I'm still making money, but 2 years ago I was making bank. It's nuts how much money I made, and then I had to pay the taxes. Like, ugh, ugh. But anyway, so the point being is, I got it for like $350. You know what I'm saying? And normally it's like $600. So I was like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. It's a self-enclosed grow garden with curtains, if you will. It's almost like it's not a curtain, but anyway, long story short, so you can self-contained is what I mean. And not curtains, but some kind of whatever it is. Anyway, point being is, I haven't even opened the box. I just bought it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I had money coming in. Let me just buy this. I haven't opened it yet. It's still sitting right there. I can literally see it's right around the corner. I can't see around the corner. I can't. I'm not like refraction, where things go above the curve, but I can. It's still right there. I haven't even opened it yet. 2 years gone by, I haven't opened it yet. I just bought it because of impulse buying, and I had the money. Once that income stops coming in, you won't buy that, dude. I'm just telling you right now. You'll say, yeah, do I need it? It's different. You won't say, do I want it? Yes, you want it. You're like, do I need it? And if I do want it, how am I going to pay for it? You're going to pay for taking on money for your cash because the income has stopped coming in. Does that make sense? Once the income stops coming in, you start getting a lot more freaking particular on your spending. This is why people don't spend as much in retirement. I cannot stress this enough. Chuck B gets it. I'm just telling you. So this pre-retirement income needs. I have $100,000 in income. You're going to need $80,000 a year of income at retirement. Why? Well, based on your pre-retirement spending. Your pre-retirement spending is based on the income that you have coming in. You're guaranteed from your petty state check. Well, your state check is not guaranteed. No, it is while you're working. The day you're working is guaranteed. The day you're in there, it won't be guaranteed until they let you go. But it's guaranteed while you're there. Now, I guarantee if you think that at the end of the day I'm going to be fired in about 2 months, you're going to start being a lot more precise on your spending. You see what I'm saying? But if that's not happening, then you're going to be like, I can buy because I got the income coming in. I can borrow, I can buy, I can borrow, I can buy. It all changes once the income stops and you retire. I'm just telling you right now. That is everything you need to know about retirement right there in Chuck B's comment. Love the comments. If you're going to be silly, when I say silly, mean, you'll be banned. If you're going to be overly aggressive, you'll be banned. But if you have good stuff to say, it's okay if you're a lib. I don't care. I just like, we like laughing at libs. But, you can be lib. A lot of these libs have good stuff to say. Especially when, like my man Ron Lindemann, when it comes to the Bible. This is the issue. I hate to say a lot of Christians, they don't read their Bible. And as such, that Christians will post this stuff. There's a quote from Psalms, there's a quote from Song of Solomon, and or anything. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, but a lot of liberals have read the Bible, which is why they're liberal, because the Bible can really turn a lot of people off. It really can. And the conservatives don't. They just go on this, again, they're just so conservatives, a lot of Christians, maybe not conservatives, are headline Bible people. Kind of like libs are just headline from the New York Times. They don't read the articles. That's kind of the same thing with Christians when it comes to the Bible. So like my man Ron, other people have said stuff that on what's biblical. You're like, yeah, dude, that's not based on foundation. That's just, you're just using a simple thing from Psalms or a simple thing from what's the other one? Psalms and Proverbs, for heaven's sake. I see pause and look. My brain's going mush. Anyway, good stuff, Chuck. Appreciate it. Love your comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list in the doobly-doo. And if you like the work I'm doing here, I got to put this at the beginning. $5 for a cup of coffee. $5 decaf, man. And I know no one watches the very end, but if you do and you like the work I'm doing, this helps. $5 and buy me a cup of coffee. And the link is the doobly-doo. Thanks now.